Good morning, AM Kevin Price. Delighted to be with you. Going to spend some time talking to you about you and your business. And a lot to cover on today's program. Do want to mention great podcast over there by Colleen Mullen. She's a new Price of Business podcaster. Great segment there on helping America's vets. And she is a brand new contributor in that arena. And we're delighted to have her there. Make sure you check her out over there at priceofbusiness.com, and expecting new content from her every week. And speaking of new content and great content, I'm delighted to have Melanie Young on the program, and she is described as the chief connector and host of the Connected Table, which is an iHeart program. And you can find out about it at theconnectedtable.com. She responded to a recent horror request that we had, which is to help a reporter out, looking for ideas, creative ideas, when it came to possible radio shows. And she's already doing one, and wanted to share it with our audience. How are you today, Melanie?
I'm fine, Kevin.
Tell us a little bit about your background and what made you, led you to doing this program.
Well, for about 20 years, actually more, I had run a major culinary events public relations business in food, wine, spirits, and hospitality. I helped launch and create the James Beard Foundation Awards. And a couple of years ago, I decided that I didn't want to be in that arena anymore, and I started writing, and I published some books, and decided with all the great contacts I have in food, wine, spirits, and hospitality, I wanted to do something different. So my husband and I created the Connected Table Live, which profiles the dynamic people who work front and center in the world of food, wine, spirits, and hospitality.
Very good. Now, I see this in iHeart's radio program, and
Yes.
it's also on W4CY. What is that? I'm not familiar with that.
It is a digital information infotainment network geared toward lifestyle topics.
Oh, okay. Very good. Very interesting. And when did you formally launch the show, and how often do you do it?
Well, my husband David Ransom and I launched it October 1, and it runs weekly, Wednesdays, 2 p.m. Eastern, for 50 minutes. We profile one or two personalities in the industry, and then it's on iHeart.com and the iHeart.com app anytime, anywhere for listening.
Yeah, very cool. I think that's fantastic. So tell me a little bit about some of the topics that you cover. And by the way, how long is a typical show?
Well, the Connected Table Live is 50 minutes long, and I actually have another show called Fearless, Fabulous You for Women, also on iHeart on Mondays at 9, and that's for women, covering health and wellness and nutrition topics for women. The Connected Table, each of our guests comes on for about 20 minutes. We tell their story. It's very personality-driven. We like to show the how and the why they came into the business, the impact they made, who mentored them, and we also talk about issues. For example, today we have Letty Teague, who's the wine columnist for the Wall Street Journal on. And she's got a new book out. Often people have new books called Wine and Words. It's a fabulous read. So we'll be talking about that, along with Tony Abou-Ghanem out of Las Vegas, who is one of the top mixologists. He pioneered the cable car cocktail at Harry Denton's Starlight Room and worked for Steve Wynn at Las Vegas at his resorts and casinos.
Nothing like a new book to make people talk.
It's really enjoyable. We love bringing out stories and sharing them with people.
So tell me about how do you typically get your guests? For us, you may not have you may have the same advantage. Seems like I have a lot more guests available than I do time to pursue. Are you in a similar boat?
I'm blessed because I worked in the industry for so long that I have so many contacts that a friend of mine came over one day and looked at all the business cards scattered and organized decks around the room by theme, and she said, "You need to be doing something with this. You know too many people not to use this in a new, fresh way." So finding people is never an issue. Time and scheduling, as you know, the guest takes a lot of time, though.
Yeah, if I didn't have people do that, that would be a problem. I know exactly what you're talking about. So
yeah, and we do a lot of research. I mean, I was up this morning at a crazy hour just prepping for today's show, and you work week to week. It's just me and my husband, so we do all the scheduling, and an engineer, of course.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I am very delighted to have you on. I can just tell in the brief conversation I had with you, why you're a natural at doing this, and I'm sure your audience really enjoys it. What are some of the takeaways that you try to pursue for the program? I'm sure it varies per guest. But what are the overarching takeaways that you're hoping for the listener to achieve?
Well, for the Connected Table Live, people love to hear people's stories about the business. And so the takeaway is that, this is a rich business, food, beverage, and hospitality, and people come from all walks of life and create opportunities. And we try to share their story and the opportunities of what they're doing and talk about trends. On my show for women, Fearless, Fabulous You, there are very specific takeaways on how to take charge of your life and answer questions that you may want to know on how to live better and smarter to stay healthy and have a balanced life.
Yep, sounds like great stuff. I want to encourage the listener a little more about it. What would be, I only want to give one website because, frankly, if you give multiple ones, people won't mix them up in the whole 9 hours. Give us one website that you want people to check out.
Well, theconnectedtable.com, but, of course, the shows are on iHeart.com under shows and personalities. You can look up Melanie Young, and I'll pop up.
Great. Thanks so much for being with us.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. When we come back, much more for you. We want to remind you best content here, including this interview, will be found over there at the national news website, usstadiumreview.com. That's like getting over 1 million hits a month. Make sure you check it out. Like it on Facebook, follow it on Twitter, and you're listening to The Price of Business.